So I did the DC list, now onto the Marvel. As I said, I tend to have a kind of balanced view of the comics between DC and Marvel. I think both of them have their merits. My most recent acquisition came one of my birthday presents, Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe, to which I haven't finished reading it yet, so that one won't be on this list for the time being. But yeah, I think I've got together a kind of good list of my favourite 10 Marvel graphic novels. So once again, off we go. Now, I won't go into much detail about this, just keep this short. I'll just kind of give a brief word and then kind of a short summary of the plot. Anyway, number 10 was one of the ones I got for Christmas, Venomlethal Protector. This was a kind of loose basis for the Venom movie, and I actually think it's a pretty good book. Venom, Eddie Brock, has a bit of a predicament. He needs to kind of try and kind of keep on the straight and narrow, keep on the side of good, whilst avoiding the kind of scrutiny eye of SpiderMan, whilst also trying to save a group of people living under a local park from a billionaire who's attempting to get gold from underneath there, and also evade a secretive institute who wants him for experiments. So, yeah, quite a good book to read. Number 9, Secret Empire. A lot of people seem to dislike this one when it came out, but I think that was mainly due to its principle. When you get past that, it's actually quite a good book. Yeah, this particularly famous one from a few years ago shows that Captain America has seemingly been a secret Hydra sleeper agent for many years. And so when he seemingly turns evil, the rest of the Avengers and pretty much most of the Marvel Universe kind of have to band together to see if, one, they can turn Steve Rogers back to the side of good, and if they can't, well, try and find a way to overcome Hydra's new regime. It's a pretty intense story. Number 8, Civil War 2. I've seen recently that this one isn't actually that popular, but I think it's actually a pretty good story. As I said, it's number 2, so Tony Stark and Carol Danvers come to blows when a new Inhuman surfaces with the ability to see visions of the future, with Carol stating that they need to use these abilities in order to prevent future destruction, future accidents, whereas Tony feels that they can't go in half-cocked, and these visions may not be what comes true, and the punishment should come after the crime. So I feel it's a really nice kind of balance, once again. My number 7 is one that I didn't expect to be on this list, but when I was actually making the ranking, I thought to myself, yeah, it actually is. And my number 7 is the Infinity Gauntlet. I'm generally not that much of a fan of the older Marvel comics, but yeah, this one's actually pretty good. Yeah, for those who don't know, it did provide a kind of loose basis for Infinity War, a very loose one, in that Thanos is collecting the Infinity Stones for the Infinity Gauntlet, snaps his fingers, and manages to wipe out half the universe. So it's up to the remaining heroes to try and find a way to reset everything and get the universe back to rights. My number 6 is another old one that I didn't expect to be on this list, but yeah, it did earn its place. Iron Man Demon in a Bottle. This one provided a loose basis for the first 2 RDJ Iron Man movies, and it is quite a good book to read. It shows Tony Stark trying to deal with new villains such as Whiplash and Justin Hammer, whilst also dealing with his mounting alcoholism, to which is quite a tough one to explore, but I think it's a pretty good book. Down one set to number 5, Secret Invasion. It's quite a big story. I mean, it encompasses most of the Marvel Universe, but yeah, I think it's a good read. Basically, mysterious creatures known as Skrulls have invaded Earth, and they had the ability to shapeshift, so they could disguise themselves as anyone on Earth. To discover that most of the heroes on Earth are actually kind of Skrull imposters. So they have to find a way to kind of repel the Skrulls, whilst also working out who they can and can't trust, who is a Skrull and who isn't. So which is quite an interesting one. It makes you question quite a lot of the heroes, question quite a lot of their ethics. Could they be Skrull, could they be not? It's a pretty good story. Number 4, Spider-Man Blue. I managed to amass a few Spider-Man stories in my brief time as a comic book nerd, but honestly, well, comic book geek, but yeah, this one I actually found is my favourite. It tells the story of kind of a few years down the line, Peter Parker and Mary Jane Watson are now married, and Spider-Man, well, Peter Parker kind of sits in an attic talking to an old tape recorder, trying to tell Gwen Stacy how he feels, knowing that, well, she's dead and she'll never hear it. It's quite an emotional story, just seeing him just sit down and kind of talk about it and go over some of the memories of when he was first getting to know her. And it's a tinged with a hint of sadness, but it's very well done. And yeah, I do feel it's a good one. My number 3, Planet Hulk. This provided a loose basis for the movie Thor Ragnarok. Kind of a very loose basis, but I feel it's still a pretty good book on its own. The premise being that a group of heroes from Earth known as the Illuminati, made up of heroes such as Iron Man, Doctor Strange, and, well, I can't actually remember who's mostly, but they decide to send Thor off-world, stating that it's really too dangerous to be kept around on Earth for long. However, he ends up going to the wrong planet. They'd sent him to a peaceful planet. He ends up on the war-torn Sakaar, where he kind of has to battle pretty much just to survive. And yeah, I just think it's a pretty good story. Yeah, I mean, and once again, it does the kind of arena scenario which Thor Ragnarok did very well. But yeah, it's a pretty good story in its own right. And following on from that, number 2, the sequel to Planet Hulk, World War Hulk. I mean, while we eventually got something akin to Planet Hulk with Thor Ragnarok, I don't think we'll ever get a world equivalent to a World War Hulk movie, but I still think it's a pretty good one. After the events of Planet Hulk result in the death of his love and her unborn child, Hulk returns to Earth angry to kind of destroy the people who kind of sent him there. And it's quite kind of a dark story. It's got a lot of action in there, but yeah, it's also kind of quite dark just to see Hulk kind of turn this way, and the ultimate methods he chooses to go about are really quite brutal. But yeah. But my number 1 for my favourite Marvel comic, from my collection at least, the first one I ever bought, Civil War. A lot of people, I know, classify the Civil War movie as their favourite Marvel movie, and I can certainly see why. But in terms of when you actually look at the movie compared to the comic, the movie is a massive scale down. I know they didn't have access to all the characters, but the comic encompassed pretty much the entire Marvel universe, and it's a pretty good one. Yeah, Captain America, Steve Rogers, and Iron Man, Tony Stark come to blows when a group of young heroes get involved in an international incident, resulting in the deaths of thousands or hundreds of people. And following this, the government decides to essentially put superheroes on probation, which Tony knows, going back to the old ways, is never going to be an option, so he might as well plough forwards with new schemes in order to make people feel more at ease. Whereas Cap feels that there's a certain level of kind of secrecy that's required, and yeah, I mean, you can see both sides of the argument. Even if you're on one side, you can totally understand the other, and that's what makes this such a great comic. You see both sides of it, you understand both sides of it. Even if your favourite hero is on one side, you understand the other, and it's just a brilliant one to read. But there you go, my top 10 Marvel comic books. But yeah, we'll have to see if I get more great ones in the future. Until then, see ya.